Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Bruce Shelton. Today is November 16th, 2008. I have been asked to answer the question, what are some common allergies and symptoms and remedies? Well, the simple answer is that an allergy is a defect in the immune system that allows the body to recognize allegedly friendly objects and substances as a foreign invading particle and then to react against them in a very inappropriate manner, producing the symptoms that we call allergies, which in its simplest form is sneezing, runny nose, itchy eyes, coughing, asthma, sinus congestion, etc. The simplest form of allergies are therefore related to those problems, and when treated in an allopathic manner, in other words, according to the methods of traditional medicine, the end result of the allergy, which is the production of extra histamine, which causes the runny nose, itching eyes, watering eyes, etc., and taking simply an antihistamine, which cancels out the effect of the excess amount of this chemical that is produced by the body in response, by this inappropriate response to the substance causing the problem. The problem, however, is the defect in the immune system, where the body simply reacts against things that it's not supposed to. In other words, grass and food and trees and all of the beautiful things in our environment that can trigger an allergy should not be responded against by the normal immune system. But when the immune system, for reasons that could be related to genetics, could be related to the environment, are triggered to react against these substances, the overproduction of histamine is produced by the defect that is caused in the immune system. In the homeopathic method of treating allergies, the defect is dealt with by simply giving the patient a dilutional amount, a small amount, of the same or similar substance that triggered the problem. In other words, if you're allergic to Bermuda grass and it causes you to sneeze, all that one needs to do is to juice up some Bermuda grass and then make a dilution of it and take either an allergy shot with it or a drop to be taken under your tongue, which will reverse the problem that occurs in the immune system so that the extra production of histamine will simply stop. In other words, in regular medicine, we treat the end result of the problem, but in homeopathic medicine, we treat the cause of the problem and get to a more complete end result. In other words, when you take an antihistamine, your symptoms go away, but when you stop taking the antihistamine, the symptoms return. When you give the patient a dilution of what caused their problem in the first place, you train the immune system, almost like a vaccination, to not let the patient be allergic ever again, and the problem simply doesn't recur. You don't need antihistamines. And I liken this to a statement that is in the New Testament of the Bible attributed to Jesus, where he said, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, you feed him for the rest of his life. I attribute antihistamines and medicines of that type to giving a person a fish. But when you teach the person how to fish by giving them a vaccine-type arrangement within their immune system, you teach the immune system how to fish, and it takes care of its own problem. Now, the simplest kind of allergies are the humoral allergies that are handled in the bloodstream. And they are treated, as I've just been saying, by taking a small dilute amount of the same or similar substance. Well, that's the easy form of allergies. The more complex form of allergies is the cellular form of allergies, which is a very complicated subject, which I explain in great detail in my blog. But in simplest forms, these are the allergies that are caused by the inappropriate absorption of food particles, for instance. As we know, there are 3 different kinds of foods: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And when you break down a fat, there are 9 fatty acids. When you break down a carbohydrate, there's 9 sugars and 11 starches. And when you break down a protein, there's 21 amino acids. There are 50 substances that get a free pass through the intestinal lining, which otherwise doesn't let anything else go through. These 50 substances, these basic building blocks, simply pass on through and there's no problem. But what were to happen if you were to have what we call a leaky gut and you absorb a little piece of steak while it's still chemically a piece of beef? In other words, before it's broken down into its fatty acids and amino acids, that little piece of beef is felt to be a foreign invading particle as it's passing through the intestinal lining, and antibodies are made against it. Those antibodies cross-react with different parts of the body, and you end up having an autoimmune type reaction, which usually manifests in the skin, in your joints, and in your sinuses. Well, you could be eating a piece of broccoli, for instance, but it doesn't totally break down into the sugars and starches that it's made up of. Well, you end up getting arthritis as a result of doing that. By simply healing the leaky gut, you then have to solve the problem in a very simple way. In other words, what causes leaky gut? Well, abnormal germs, abnormal parasites, abnormal heavy metals. You can see that this gets quite complicated and quite involved in the treatment. And when you come to a doctor such as myself, all of these factors are addressed, and we go through the system top to bottom and cure allergies by detoxification and drainage, by using the renutrification of the body, making sure the patient is taking the right nutrients, etc., and making sure the cleansing effects are appropriate. I invite you to go to my blog and look at all the other videos that I've made on this very same subject, and you can see all the different details that a good integrative physician goes through in treating a patient's simple allergies, so you can throw away that nose spray, throw away those antihistamines, and get the relief that you've been looking for a long time. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Bruce Shelton.